Let me know if you see it.
Not yet.
It's redirecting, it says. Okay, I think we're live. I hope we're live. Hey, if you guys can hear me, please give me a like or let me know you're listening by giving us a comment just to make sure. This is our first time doing this. I'm going to introduce you guys here in a moment to Gretchen Cross, who's a Pilates instructor over at the Pilates Collective. But before I get into that, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. And I know we're on a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to give you guys a minute. Like this video or comment below to let me know you're watching. Oh, okay, Mike's watching. We got one at least. All right, cool. So welcome everybody to the live Pilates workshop. I am Dr. Matt. I'm going to host this thing, but I'm not going to be the one teaching this thing because Gretchen's doing all that. Gretchen is a Pilates instructor again at the Pilates Collective, and she's going to be taking us through what's called a mat Pilates workshop, which if you're a newbie to this means you don't need a lot of equipment. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. So before we get into this, Gretchen, tell us a little bit about the importance of Pilates and why we should all be doing it right now.
Okay, so Pilates was actually designed by a gentleman named Joseph Pilates, and he's from Germany. He was captured in Britain in World War I and was in an internment camp. And he came up with a way of working with the people in the infirmary. He took springs from their hospital beds and attached them to the beds and different things and had them do exercises from their bed. But then when he came to the States, he went to New York and he developed a way of working. He had his original form of exercise was called contrology. And what's cool about Pilates is that it's hard. I mean, you should always feel that you're doing the work, but it's something that anybody can do. And it helps stabilize all the small muscles in your body. So it helps you get stronger and helps all the muscles in the entire body better able to function. It increases your core strength. So that's important for your spine as well. It increases mobility and flexibility. And it also reinforces the neuromuscular connections. So if you go see Dr. Matt and then you go do Pilates, it kind of makes everything work together and makes his job easier.
So one of the biggest things, the reason I'm having Gretchen on here, nothing against all the other things you could be doing because there's a lot of great workouts out there, but not a lot of them are focused specifically on keeping the integrity of your spine, which to me, it doesn't matter how strong you are. Like you could get really big biceps, you could get bulging abs. That doesn't mean you're healthier. That doesn't mean you're stronger. A lot of times it actually creates more imbalance. And people walk into my office thinking they're doing a really good thing by doing these boot camps or CrossFit workouts. And what they're actually doing is creating a lot of imbalance and problems for themselves. They come in with a lot of back pain, shoulder issues, etc. It started due to their workouts, the things that they thought was making them healthier. Working out does not mean you have to get really sweaty. It doesn't mean you have to wake up the next morning and feel crazy sore. That doesn't mean that was a good workout. Mm-hmm. All that means is you stress your tissues a lot.
Right.
What I want you doing is things that are going to keep your spine healthier and more stable, because that's really, if we're talking about life success, if we're talking about the blue zones that you see on the internet or on TV where people are living longer lives, there are people that aren't necessarily doing CrossFit and I'm not picking on CrossFit, by the way, there's good things in CrossFit, but they're not doing the specific workout. They are just making sure that their spine is stable. They're making sure they're eating well, sleeping well, nervous system's working well. So anyways, I'm getting off now. I'll let you keep it going. But I think one more thing, Gretchen, before you get into this workout, I think there's a big misconception around Pilates. I love Pilates. I do Pilates. I feel like a lot of guys look at Pilates and go, "Oh no, that's for my wife," or "That's for the girl." Show us the picture of Joseph Pilates. And
well, there's two things about Joseph Pilates. So he wrote this book in 1945. I think it's interesting he said this. He said, if your spine is inflexibly stiff at 30, you are old. If it is completely completely flexible at 60, you are young. So that was in 1945. But this is his book. I don't know if you can see it. And that's Joseph Pilates, and he's 60 years old in that picture. 60.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like,
this is the book of all the mat exercises also.
like this video if you guys want to be like Joseph Pilates when you're 60 years old.
Yeah. So I have many male clients of different ages. I have about 6 private clients who are over the age of 60 and come to me for various things, but you know, they get a good workout. But also I think part of it is that you don't see men because a lot of our classes are during the day, or you know, it's kind of been marketed to women more, but anybody should do it. Kids, little kids can do it, big kids. The woman who was one of Joseph Pilates' teachers, she did it until she was 96 years old. So,
well, without further ado, why don't you take us through this?
Okay.
By the way, guys, if you have questions, hopefully a lot of you guys are doing this while Gretchen's going through it, but it is going to be recorded, so you can always go back to this and watch it. While you're doing it, if you have questions or if you're just watching and observing and you have questions, I'm going to be watching the Facebook group and commenting, replying while she's going through this. I'm not going to interrupt her while she's doing her flow. And then at the end, we'll tie it all up. So, Gretchen, I'm signing off for now.
Okay, just give me a thumbs up if you cannot, or if you can hear me, cool. So this is a very, very basic mat series. Mat Pilates, we do it because, well, right now we're all doing it because we don't have access to the reformers and other apparatus. And in the apparatus, Joseph Pilates made them so that your mat work would be easier. You'd get a better form and then be able to do mat. So you just start easy and try to feel your body. We're just gonna sit nice and tall. If you cannot sit with your knees crossed, feel free to just sit with your knees bent and kind of heels flat on the floor. And I want you to sit as tall as you can. So you're gonna grow the crown of your head up towards the ceiling and try to send your sits bones down into the mat. And just kind of notice, you can close your eyes if you want, but notice where you have tension. If you have anything going on in your neck, in your upper back, your rib cage, your mid back, your low back, all that good stuff. Now let's go ahead and take an inhale, and you can bring your arms up. Notice where that breath goes. Don't judge where it goes, just notice. And let's do 2 more here. Inhale, reach arms up and down and up and down. All right. So let's talk a tiny little bit about breath, because it's the main principle of Pilates, similar to yoga, but a little bit different way of breathing. So if you take your hand up here on the top of your chest and you take an inhale and try to make that rise, you can kind of notice it's not a very deep breath, okay? Same if you put your hand on your tummy and you take an inhale through the belly, pushing it out, and exhale, drawing it back in. So in Pilates, what we do is we kind of keep this part all engaged through the core all the way around. And then we actually breathe from our ribs in a 3-dimensional way. So you take your fingertips together and take an inhale. And I don't know if you could see me separate my fingers and bring them back together. So there's like a P right here. You're going to take an inhale and exhale. And I'm not sliding my fingers. I'm actually moving my ribs, and that's kind of making my fingers go apart. So we're going to lie down on the mat, and you're going to have your head on the mat. Your knees are bent. We call this a hook lying position. It looks like you hooked your knees over. And you want to have your, honor the curves of your spine. So your lumbar curve, your cervical curve, and your pelvis is level. Take your arms long down by your sides. All I want you to do is take a big inhale through your nose. And as you exhale, think of melting all of your vertebrae into the mat like you're melting chocolate. So you might notice one might be sticking out, one might be crooked. Just let it be. Just take an inhale and exhale. And we call this imprinting. And all the air out. All right. So now again, you're going to take those hands on the rib cage and see if you can feel the ribs expand side to side and up and down, kind of like you're opening an umbrella. So you're going to inhale through the nose and then exhale, funnel everything towards the center line. And again, inhale and exhale. Try to relax your jaw, inhale and exhale. All right, so that funneling of the rib cage helps to start to engage all of these muscles in the deepest abdominals that you have. Alrighty, so now you're gonna take your hands on your pelvis. So there's these little parts of your pelvis. You don't need to be amazed by the names, but just know that they're there. We're gonna work on rolling a little marble towards your chest and away from you. So take an inhale. You're gonna scoop your pelvis underneath you, smashing all of your vertebrae into the mat, and feel like you roll the marble towards your face. Then inhale, bring your pelvis back to neutral. Then exhale, you're gonna tilt the pelvis the other direction, rolling the marble towards your legs. And come center. Let's do that 4 more times. So inhale first, exhale, scoop, rolling the marble towards your belly button. Inhale, come center. Exhale, tilt it away. Inhale, come center. 2 more. And of course, go smaller if it's bugging your back, but we're trying to help lengthen that low back. And center. A lot of us are sitting more than normal, so I'm sure your low backs are a little bit grumpy. Also, your hip flexors. 1 more. Scoop. And center. And drop. And center. So from there, you should be able to feel that neutral spine. Lift it off like little ladybugs can crawl underneath it. Okay, now you're going to make this triangle with your thumbs and your first fingers. Put the thumbs on the belly button and the fingers toward your pelvis, so you can make your whole hand like this. You're going to imagine there's buttons at your thumbs and in the middle and at your fingers. We're going to button up those Levi 501 jeans, okay? Trying to isolate these muscles here in the lower belly. So take a big inhale through your ribs. And on your exhale, pull in the belly underneath your fingertips. And then in the middle of your diamond and underneath your thumbs. And exhale. Hold that contraction. Try that again. Take an inhale. Exhale. Pull the belly in underneath the fingertips. Exhale. Pull it in underneath the middle and the tummy underneath the thumbs. So we're trying to button up that first little bit of our tummy. Take another inhale. And now exhale. Button everything up. So your goal is to be able to hold those buttons nice and tight. You may have felt pelvic floor muscles. You may have felt your back. All of that is working to maintain this core strength. Okay? From here, we're going to start moving our arms. So we're kind of traveling up our body. Do you want to keep your rib cage heavy in the mat? Inhale and start to reach your arms up by your head. And then exhale, sink your ribs and reach your arms. So you're trying to move the arms from the upper back muscles and the shoulder muscles. Again, if you cannot reach the floor, it's okay. Trying to just find the length along the spine. And exhale, come back down. 2 more. Inhale, reach. It should get easier with every time you do this. Exhale down. To me, this is like one of the best exercises that I do. I'm like, oh, it feels so good. Reach. Especially if you've been hunched over your computer all day. It feels really, really good. And all the way down. All right. So now just rest your arms long down by your sides we're going to talk a little bit about the front of your neck. So if you have a posture, and I'm sure Matt can talk more about this, but if you're sitting like this all day long, right, the front muscles of your neck get really weak. So we're going to kind of work on getting them a little bit stronger. It's a weird kind of exercise. It's very, very tiny, and our head actually stays on the floor. So I want you to think with your chin, you can put a finger on there just so you know what's going on. You're going to take an inhale, exhale, lift your head up as if you were reaching for a kiss. Somebody's coming down at you. You're going to lift your head just a millimeter off. You're still touching the fabric of your skin to the mat, and then lengthen the chin towards the chest. And then relax. So I'm going to lift up a little bit and then lengthen. And I feel the work right here in the middle of my neck in all those muscles, and relax. One more time. Take an inhale, lift a little bit, exhale, lower the chin towards the chest. We do this because eventually you're going to be working in Pilates. We do a lot with our head lifted off the mat. If you just lift your head like this, it's very straining for all the muscles in the neck. So you're going to take an inhale, reach for your kiss, nod your chin, yes, exhale. Then here we inhale, and from that position, you should be able to float your head, neck, and shoulders off just to the tips of your shoulder blades, and inhale, lower back down. So let's do 3 more like that. So you're going to inhale, reach for your kiss, nod your chin down, exhale. Inhale again, exhale, float the head up, and inhale, lower back down. So for a lot of people, when they start Pilates, they get really frustrated because their necks hurt, okay? So it's very important to understand you can keep your head down for most exercises until you get strong enough, okay? So let's do 1 more of those. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, lower, inhale, lift, and curl up, and reach, and lower back. All right, so those are kind of ways that we warm up our spine all the way up. Alrighty, now we're going to start rounding our hips. So you want to try to separate your legs from your hips. We're going to go up into what's called tabletop. So you're going to take an inhale, exhale, float your right knee up, using your belly to help you. And when you go in tabletop, here's magic, right? Take the heel of your hand and reach it to this part of your thigh. Everybody's distance is the same. So your arm will be straight and your legs come up into 90 degrees. Isn't that crazy? I think it's cool. And then lower your leg away from your arm. So you can lower the arm just so you have a measurement if you want it. Inhale. On the exhale, draw the belly up, float the leg up, and then sink the leg back down. You should feel this working in the belly. Everything is still. Inhale to repair. Exhale, bring that right leg up. Inhale, float it down. Exhale, float it up. Inhale down. Now, if you want to try something interesting, press into the left foot as you lift the right leg. And lower back down. And that fires up the back line of your body. Press into the right leg as you lift the left. It just adds a little bit more extra fun work here. All right, so that's the easiest way we can do these. If we want to increase the intensity, you're going to bring one leg up and then the other into tabletop. You can measure, make sure your knees are at the same place, flex your toes back. And now we're going to lower one leg down, the right leg. Exhale, bring it back up. All of a sudden that got really hard. Now try to maintain neutral spine if you can. If not, you can tuck under a little bit so that your low back stays protected. You can also put something underneath your low back, like a little pillow or something under your hips. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. 1 more. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Hopefully you're all feeling this. Exhale, lift. And then just draw your knees into your chest for a second. You can rock side to side to help release that low back. All right. So we're going to roll over on our side to sit up because that's the safest way to sit up. Of course, you probably learn someday that you can do roll-ups, but I'm not going to force you to do those today because you'll hate me. Never come back. All right, we're gonna go onto our tummy and work a little bit from this position. Now, if you need some pillow for your head, because it's hard for you to put your forehead on the floor, do so. I'm not going to just suffer through it. So I'm actually gonna show you once and try to talk as loud as I can. Okay, so you're gonna base your forehead on the mat. Your palms are down on the mat. Your legs are long, but they can be hip distance apart, and you want to make sure that your pelvis, your hip bones, and pubic bone are pressing down into the mat. Pull your belly button off an imaginary butterfly so that you have some engagement through this part of your back. You're not just dumping your back into the mat. You're going to take an inhale and shrug your shoulders up by your ears, then pull the shoulder blades back, and then send them back down. And you should notice that your shoulders actually are no longer rounded forward. So again, we bring those shoulders up and back and down. And maybe for you, you're like, that doesn't feel good. So let's try it with palms up. So you're gonna bring them up and open and down. And that should actually feel really nice to the whole neck area, upper back. Now from here, you can take an inhale, lengthen the head, and keep your neck nice and long. Press up with the back of your head to lift your forehead, nose, and chin off the mat. And exhale, lower down. Keeping those shoulders reaching down your spine. Lengthen and lift the head. And lower. And lift. And lower. Now you're going to lift your arms up off the floor. Keep your head down. And turn your palms down. And bring your arms up all the way by your head and back down to your hips. 2 more like that. Bring your hands up and down. Keep thinking of opening through the shoulders, the legs all the way and down, and rest the hands down. Go ahead and take the hands back now by your shoulders, okay? And you're going to press yourself up and back into what we call child's pose. So again, if it's hard for you to sit back, go ahead and find a pillow or something and just sit back on those heels. And take a big inhale and exhale and come on up. So in Pilates, we do everything in different positions. Right now, we're going to do quadruped. I'm sure some of you do this through your exercises with cat and cow. But right now we're going to stay in a neutral spine, okay? So your back is flat, your elbows, shoulders, and wrists are in a straight line, and your knees and hips are in a straight line. Take an inhale and bring your right arm up by your ear, and your left leg straight behind you. You're going to hold and reach and reach and reach, and bring it back down. And inhale, reach the opposite left arm, right leg away, and come back down. Let's do a couple more each side, reaching away, and just notice what's going on between each side, and reach. One more each side. Who said we weren't going to get sweaty? I'm already like, and reach. Maybe because I'm talking and teaching and stuff. And sit all the way back. Child's pose to release your spine. Now again, it doesn't matter how far back you can get. Everybody has different things going on, but just kind of think about that. All right. The last thing we're going to do here is called mermaid. So I know for some of you, your knees might not want to do this. You're welcome to kind of do it in like a relaxed sitting position. But otherwise, you're going to take your right foot in front of you. So the shin, if you have a mat, it's parallel to the mat. Your back left knee is in the arch and your knees are fairly open. So even I tell people, I'm like, well, even if you had knee replacement, you should technically be able to flex your knee to 90. If you can't, we have some issues. So you're going to sit up nice and tall, and you'll probably notice his back hip is lifted off the ground. You can't really touch the ground with that hip. So our goal is to try to get this length through here to see if we can actually get that hip down without this knee popping up. So you're going to take your right hand to the floor and reach yourself over, pressing the floor away, trying to get that hip to the floor. And then inhale, sit up, grab that back shin and reach the other way. Couple more like that. So we do different exercises with different positions of your body that you should encounter every day. This is called side bending or lateral flexion. All right, this last one, I'm gonna reach that hand down and reach the other top hand up and over, just like so. So now you're gonna take and try to make this hip come up really high, like you took a snow shovel under your booty and then press it away. And lift and lower. Once you figure out what you're doing with it, go ahead and bring that hand back to the front and lower. Now you have your hip reaching down. Now we're gonna go into our cat and cow. So take an inhale. On your exhale, scoop your pelvis under and round your spine. Press the floor away like you're bringing your nose towards your pubic bone. And then inhale, lengthen your tailbone away. Lengthen your eyes up towards the ceiling, getting a nice long spine. And exhale, scoop and round. And inhale, lengthen. And one more. Exhale, scoop and round. And inhale, lengthen. And then come center in between those two positions. Rotate the front hand open and sit all the way up. And magic, it's down on the floor. Hopefully, maybe even just a millimeter, I'll take it. Let's go to the other side. And of course, we all have a side, right? So for me, my right hand, what seems to be your left, my right is actually messed up. So anyway, it is what it is. Reach out nice and long. So now your left foot's in front, your right leg's down. Reach that right arm up and over and up. So we're gonna go 3 each direction. Keep breathing. And reach. And over. And this last one, you're gonna reach up and over and continue to rotate till both hands are on the floor. Take an inhale and try to lift that back hip up and then press it away. So we're trying to shorten the rib and hip connection here. And away. And lift. And away. Now take an inhale. For your cat, you're gonna round your spine. And then inhale, lengthen away. And exhale, scoop and round. And inhale, lengthen. And one more, scoop and round. And inhale, lengthen. And then come back to center. Rotate back and come all the way up. It may or may not have gone as well as the other side. And then shake those legs out. It happens. But if you kept doing that every day, your body would thank you a lot. Now let's go back to that original position where you were sitting either crisscross with your knees bent. And take a big inhale. And exhale. And just kind of notice what's going on in your body. If you feel a little bit better, maybe looser. And there you go. That was a tiny, tiny, very small Pilates class.
Thank you, Gretchen. For those of you guys watching, I want to know how many of you guys have heard me recommend some of those exercises to you to be doing it. And if anybody has any questions for Gretchen before we get off of here, type them into the box. I'm watching and I'll pass them along to her and she can answer them for you. In the meantime, I wanted to just give you guys an idea. The reason why I love working with Gretchen and Pilates is such a great exercise is because when I work with somebody, I'm looking at what we call intersegmentally, meaning in between the joints, the specific vertebrae in your spine. That's very important because each one of those joints has the potential to get locked up and cause problems. Gretchen is working with your entire spine in global regions, for example, moving your entire neck or your entire low back. And if we're not doing that either, again, we're going to cause a lot of problems. If you were doing this on a regular basis, discomfort would be much less. And this is when I talk about movement, just so you guys know, walking is great. working out, lifting weights is great, but this is the kind of stuff I'm really talking about, making sure you're moving your spine in all directions. And when I'm working with you, I'm doing the very small pieces that it's hard for you to do on your own, like when you're doing a Pilates workshop. But if you're not doing the Pilates stuff, you're ultimately typically causing a lot of problems, degeneration and breakdown of your spine and the muscles that are associated. So don't look too far. If you're having pain or discomfort, Advil, aspirin, Tylenol, all those things can cover up the pain, but they're never going to get to the underlying issue, which is typically either the joints being stuck or lack of movement or both. Gretchen, before we go too much further, there's a couple questions in here.
Okay.
Before I do that though, tell people a little bit about what you guys do, where you're at and all that.
Yeah. So we're on Colorado Boulevard between Yale and Amherst. So on the west side of the street, sort of by the shopping center in University Hills neighborhood, where there's King Soopers, Michael's, all that. We've been there about 4 years, and we have classes on all the different apparatus. We have mat classes. We have gentle classes. A lot of people do those if they have chronic pain or they're coming off an injury. We have privates and all kinds of many different things. We do workshops. We also have 2 physical therapists who are there, who's, we can chat with and communicate their information. Right now, of course, we're closed. So we're doing online classes, both live stream every day and then pre-recorded, and various levels, various types of Pilates. When we reopen, of course, if you want to come try us out and see if Pilates would be for you, we do offer a 1 free-hour session. So a free 1-hour session. And that just gives you an opportunity to kind of try all the different equipment. If you've never been on a Pilates apparatus, for us to figure out how we would best help you, all that good stuff. So.
And Gretchen, I have one of these questions going along with the equipment. Is mat Pilates just as effective as Pilates with a reformer?
Yes, and I feel like I started my own Pilates when after my first kiddo was born, and I needed a workout or something I could do at home. And then I moved to the Dominican Republic and did it there by myself for a year. When I moved to Houston, everybody's like, "Are you an instructor?" I'm like, "You've been doing Pilates." I'm like, "Yeah, but just mat Pilates." But I find that mat Pilates is in a way the hardest because it's just you. You don't have straps, you don't have pulleys. It's just your body. So you have to work with what you have. It's the most portable, it's the cheapest, all those things. In this kind of situation, we can do it. So.
And last guys, this wasn't actually posed, but there definitely is this question I find with a lot of practice members, which is if you can't move very well or movement causes you pain, how can Pilates help with that?
Okay.
Or is Pilates even an option for you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I work with all kinds of people who have different issues and, herniated discs. We have MS patients, all that kind of stuff. We have people with hip replacements, knee replacements, disc, reconstruction of their neck, crazy stuff. And so, what I taught you today, if some of that was hard, probably, but for the most part, the lying down stuff, you can do the entire workout lying down and do small movements. You don't have to lift your head. And that really does help. It's, for me, I always feel like you maybe feel one way when you come into the class, and then when you leave the class, you feel like a whole new person. If you went to get a good massage or something like that.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time, Gretchen. Again, guys, if you want to get a hold of her, her email's in the comments, Gretchen@PilatesCollectiveDenver.com. We're doing live in the mornings, afternoons, evenings. Gretchen was telling me she's doing a ton of classes right now. She's tired. Yeah. Anybody's getting movement. Gretchen's getting plenty of movement.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that, they've also got the pre-recorded. And then also when this whole thing dies down, they're going to have their location open back up again for you to go in person. So that's Gretchen for you. She's a lovely woman, as you guys couldn't tell. A ton of knowledge. So thanks for joining us, Gretchen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I think that's it. If you've got questions or comments, you want to find out more, by all means, comment below. Gretchen's part of the group, so she's happy to respond that way, or reach out to her over the email. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.